Hello, my name is Affarirs from Edukea Tanzania. Welcome in this session to proceed with our topic, the last topic in Form 4, known as Africa and International Affairs. And on the last lesson, we ended on the objective of Africa to participate in international cooperation. So now let us see another part, which is known as Africa and the United Nations, or UN. It means we are going to see the participation of Africa with the United Nations. The UN is an international organization comprising of independent states from all over the world. It means that UN is an international organization which is comprising or which is formed by the independent states from all over the world. It was formed after the Second World War to fulfill the following objectives. It means that the UN or United Nations was formed after the end of the Second World War in 1945 in order to fulfill or to perform the following objectives or aims. The following are the objectives, and the first one was to develop friendly relations among states of the world. It means that the first objective of UN was to develop friend relations among states of the world. It means that the UN wanted to maintain or to develop the friendship among the states that's present in the world, or independent states that are present in the world. So in order to ensure that there is friendship or friendly relations among each other. The second one was to maintain international peace and security. It means that the formation of UN was aiming at maintaining international peace and security. And how UN could maintain world peace and security? This was through the Security Council that is formed by the developed countries and other less developing countries to ensure that the world peace is maintained and protected. Another, it is to promote respect for human rights and freedom. It means that to promote respect for human rights and freedom. It means UN was formed in order to promote the human rights and the freedom of each person and the nation at large. Another objective was to promote human welfare by uplifting living standards. It means that UN was formed to promote human welfare by uplifting the living standard of the people in each member states. That's why UN is comprising by various organs, which every organ is performing its works or functions according to the functions which have been assigned to every organ or UN organ. Another was to promote international understanding among nations. It means that to promote international understanding among the nations means that to settle the international disputes that exist between the independent states. So the UN stands there for solving the international disputes which arise in the world or in the world states. So let us see the UN structure. The UN structure. The UN, whose headquarters in New York, USA, is made up with the various organs. It means that UN was formed in 1945 after the Second World War, and the headquarters was allocated or is located or was chosen to be New York in USA or United States of America. So the headquarters of UN or United Nations is New York. The first organ of UN is the General Assembly. The General Assembly, this is the most supreme organ of the UN. It is the most supreme, or it is the organ that have the more power on the organization. It meets once a year unless during extraordinary sessions and comprised of all member states of the UN. It means per year it meets once. It means this General Assembly, or the General Assembly of the UN, meets at once per year, unless if there is any emergency that concern to be that need the meeting of the General Assembly. But if there is no need, it meets once per year. Let us see the functions of General Assembly. The first one, to admit new members. It means to make admission of the new members in the organization. So you can see that if there is a new independent state which want to join the UN, that admission is done under the General Assembly. The second one is consider any matter touching on international peace and security. It means consider any matter touching on international peace and security. It just say they are negotiators or mediators of matters that deal with or that touch directly to peace and security of the world. Another, to approve the UN budget. It means the General Assembly of UN is there to approve the UN budget. Another is to elect no permanent members of the Security Council, judges of international courts. It means to elect non-permanent members of the Security Council, judges of International Court of Justice, and appoint the Secretary General with approval of the Security Council. It means that another function of the General Assembly of UN is to elect non-permanent members of the Security Council, the members who are not permanent, and after some period of time those members are being moved out and the new non-permanent members are elected. Another, it is judges of International Courts of Justice are being elected by the General Assembly, as well as the General Secretary of UN is being elected or appointed by the General Assembly, and the Secretary General is being approved by the Security Council. Each independent country qualities to qualify to be a member of the organization. It means each independent country or state qualifies to be a member of the organization. It means each independent country or state in the world qualifies to be a member of the organization. Which organization? United Nations. Most of the African countries joined on the 1960. Soon after independence, each member is entitled to only one lot. It means that the most African countries were joined the United Nations soon after independence in the 1960. Out of 51 founders of the United Nations, only 3 were African states. It means that during the formation of the United Nations in 1945, out of 51 founders of the United Nations, only 3 members were the countries from Africa, and that's where Liberia, Egypt, and Ethiopia. It means the countries which were the member of UN before 1960 were only 3 countries, or when the UN was formed, out of 51, the 3 members countries were from Africa, and that were Liberia, Egypt, and Ethiopia. So we can consider these countries as the independent states which were independent by that time during the formation of the United Nations. South Africa also participated, but under white rule. It means also South Africa was participated during the formation of United Nations, but under the white rule. So South Africa was not ready, or was not yet got the political independence, so was not qualified to be the member of UN. Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda joined the UN as soon as the respective countries required political independence in 1961 by Tanzania, 1962 Kenya, and 1963 in Uganda respectively. It means that Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda attained their independence soon after, were joined to the UN soon after attaining their independence in 1961, 1962, and 1963 respectively. By 1980s, 50 states in the continent had become the states of the UN. It means that when it reached in 1980, the 50 states from Africa became the member of United Nations. The continent had become member states of the UN. It constituted 1/3 of the UN membership. It means that the UN members were also added by the African countries, and African countries constituted 1/3 of UN membership. It means that 1/3 of membership of UN was constituted from Africa. Due to the increased membership of African countries, enabled Africa to push through African agenda in the General Assembly. So due to the increase of number of African countries to the United Nations, enabled Africa to push their matters or its agendas in the General Assembly of UN. Such issues includes the issues which were pushed by the Africa to the General Assembly. The first was the evils of European colonialism in Africa and the need for decolonization. The first agenda that was pushed to the UN or the General Assembly was the evils that was done by the European colonialism in Africa and the need for decolonization. So the Africans wanted the Africans revealed the evil that were done by the European colonialism and wanted the European countries to grant the independence for other African countries which had not yet got their independence. The second one is the evils of the apartheid regime in South Africa. It means that another agenda that was pushed out to the General Assembly by African continent or African states, the members of UN, was the evils that was done under apartheid policy or regime in South Africa. The third one was the unfair interference of apartheid South Africa in Namibia. Another issue that was discussed or that was pushed toward the General Assembly in UN was an unfair interference of apartheid South Africa in Namibia. It means apartheid regime or apartheid policy was interfered unfairly in Namibia. Another was marginalization of the continent in global economy. It means that the Africa was marginalized or deprived in the continent in global economy. It means the global economy, Africa was marginalized or was not well considered as other continent economies. And the last one was the danger of the Cold War and the rich powers' military intervention in the continent. Another issue that was taken to UN General Assembly by the African continent was the danger of the Cold War between the Western Bloc and the Eastern Bloc and the great powers' military intervention in the African continent. It means that there was the danger of Cold War in the African countries and the great powers military intervention, whereby the superpower were establishing military bases in the African countries. So this was the first organ number 1 of UN, which was the General Assembly. The second one is the Security Council. This comprises of 15 members. Five of them is just not fire, just 5 of them. It means 5 of them is permanent. They include China, Russia, France, United Kingdom, and the USA. It means that by that time, when it was formed, it included 15 members, and the 5 of them, or the 5 of those Security Council, included the 5 superpower of the world, known as China, Russia, France, United Kingdom, and the United States of America. And the 10 non-permanent members are appointed for a 2-year term by the General Assembly. It means that in other 10 countries of the Security Council are being appointed or elected after 2 years term by the General Assembly. The 5 permanent members have to vote, have veto power. It means that the 5 member or permanent members have the veto power. When one country denies for something to be done, that decision must be considered. So that we call veto power. The veto power is just like the power to make decision, and can be held within the organization, and nothing can be done if you are against with that decision. This means if any one of them votes against a proposal, that we mean when we speak or we talk about veto power. Let us see the functions of the Security Council. The first one is to enforce international peace and security. It means that the Security Council is there to enforce or to maintain the international peace and security. If any state defies the UN, the Security Council can order for sanction against it. So if there is the sanctions of security and the peace of the world, the Security Council will order the sanctions against that action. For example, Libya, apartheid, South Africa, and Iraq are good examples. To me, these were the events that marked the Security Council to enter on that situations, which we can consider example in Libya when Muammar Gaddafi were regarded as a dictator. This was the action that done by the Security Council. Even apartheid South Africa. In Africa, it means that was interfered or entered by the Security Council to enter in that situation. Even Iraq, when Osama bin Laden was taken as the dictator of the world, and the USA or United States of America decided to catch that man and being assassinated. Even in Libya, Muammar Gaddafi was regarded as a dictator, but was not a dictator. This was the African good leader, but under the UN Security Council, entered or interfered the situation that were taking place in that country, and they decided what they wanted to do. Another function of the Security Council is to investigate situations that pose a threat to international peace. It means the Security Council is there to investigate the situations which can lead to the threat of the world peace or international peace. The best example is just like the issue that is proceeding, which is concerning with the Russia and the Ukraine. There is UN, which is just investigating the situation concerning that event, Russia and the Ukraine. So the Security Council, it is on work now. So they are investigating the chief source of that conflict between Russia and the Ukraine. Another argues states to conform to peaceful settlement of disputes. It means argues states to conform to peaceful settlements. And another to expel countries that violate UN regulations. Security Council expel or move out the countries that violate UN regulations. For example, as Russia was withdraw or move out from UN was the result of the Security Council to make their decisions. Another was to recommend procedures to be followed in dispute settlement for countries experiencing squabbles. It means that to recommend the procedures to be followed in dispute settlement for countries experiencing conflicts or squabbles or quarrels. It means that the Security Council is the one which provides or recommends the procedures which must be followed in order to settle or to solve the disputes that are arising in the countries in the world or in the member states of the UN. Let us see the third organ of UN. It is the International Court of Justice or Justice. It is based in The Hague, Netherlands, and is the highest judicial organ in the UN. It means the International Court of Justice is the international judicial organ in the world that is under UN, and its headquarters it is in The Hague, Netherlands. It consists of 15 judges. It means the International Court of Justice is containing 15 judges who are elected by the General Assembly, who serves a term of 9 years with possibility for re-election. It means those judges who are elected by the members, by the General Assembly members, work for 9 years and with the possibility to be re-elected. It handles issues involving diplomatic staff, fishing rights, nuclear tests, and international borders, and the territorial water issues. It means that the International Court of Justice deals with the diplomatic staff, fishing rights, nuclear tests, and the international borders, as well as territorial water issues. So these all matters which are lying there being under the International Court of Justice. For example, in 2004, the court arbitrated the boundary dispute between Nigeria and the Cameroon over Bakazi Peninsula, awarding the region to Cameroon. It means that the disputes that arose in 2004 between Nigeria and the Cameroon under the struggling for Bakazi Peninsula, the International Court of Justice interfered and awarding the region to Cameroon. So let us see another organ of UN, which is the Secretariat. The Secretariat is located in New York, USA, and consists of international civil servants led by the Secretary General. It means the Secretariat it's located in New York. It means the headquarters is in New York, and in New York, USA, and it consists of international civil servants. It means the workers of that organ is international workers, led by Secretary General. That Secretary General is elected by the General Assembly. It is the body concerned with the day-to-day work of the UN. It means it is the body which deals with the day-to-day activities of the UN, or day-to-day work of the UN. Duties or functions of the UN Secretary General. Let us see the function that's done by the UN Secretary General and its organ. To administer peacekeeping operations, it means that the General Secretary is there to administer peacekeeping operations. So it's the one who just administering the operations concerning with peacekeeping. Another, it is research on trends of human rights. The General Secretary is there to research on the trends of human rights, how human rights is provided to the people of the member states of UN. Another, it is points out any situation that poses a threat to the global peace to the UN General Assembly. It means that points out or provide the situations to the General Assembly, the situation that can lead to the threat to the world peace or global peace. It means the Secretary General is there to pose those all situations to the General Assembly that can lead to the threat to the world peace. Another, it's monitor or monitors how UN recommendations are executed. General Secretary or the General Secretary is there to monitor how the UN recommendations are executed or are run. Another, it translates documents. It means the General Secretary is there to translate the documents concerning with the UN activities. If it is just the operations which have been done, so the General Secretary is there to translate them. If it is just concerning with economic matters, just concerning with political matters, just the General Secretary is there to do that work. Another, to register treaties. It means the General Secretary is there to register treaties that are made or signed in the organization. And another organ of UN is the Economic and Social Council. It is the organ that deals with the economic matters as well as social matters of UN. And in short term, it is ECOSOC. This is made up of 54 UN member states elected by the General Assembly to serve for a term of 3 years. It means that the members that form the Economic and the Social Council is made up of 54 UN members, and that members or elected members serves for 3 years. It serves as the main UN forum for coordination of economic and social issues or social matters. It means the elected 54 UN members are there to give a forum for the economic and the social matters concerning with the member states of UN. This work is supervised by commissions, which includes, it means the works which are lying at the Economic and Social Council are supervised by the supervised works or commissions by the following. It means the work is supervised by the commissions, which include these are the works which are done or performed by the Economic and Social Council. The first one is the Statistical Commission. So these are the commissions which works under the Economic and Social Council. So its work is done through different agencies which include World Health Organization, food. It means its work is done through the different agencies which are under UN and include WHO, FAO, UNESCO, and the UNICEF. Africa and the United Nations International Children's Fund, UNICEF, deal with the welfare activities with respect to children all over the world. It means these are the agencies which work under the Economic and the Social Council. As we see, WHO, these agents deal with health provision, or World Health Organization, these deal with the food. They're dealing with food and agriculture. This deal with the United Nations Economic and Social Cooperation Organizations, and the UNICEF that deal with the United Nations International Children's Funds, meaning the funding the children or respecting the children all over the world. So UNICEF deal with the welfare activities with respect to children all over the world. Ways which African states work closely with UNICEF to promote the welfare of children. The ways which UNICEF have been working together with African states to ensure how to promote the welfare of children. The first way is assist refugees worldwide. For example, in 1959, UNICEF helped the refugees in Tunisia, Morocco, and Algeria with blankets and tents. It means that the UNICEF assists refugees. These refugees mostly will have the children, so the UNICEF provided or helped the refugees in Tunisia, Morocco, and Algeria to provide blankets and tents to assist the refugees. Another to collaborate with African states in promoting sanitation in rural areas. It means that UNICEF collaborates with African states in promoting the sanitation in rural areas, and the other one donate